Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. Listen, I'm glad to have you guys here. Now, I drew you guys a chart where I think Bitcoin, my future prediction of where I think Bitcoin is going to go and where gold's going to go in relation to gold. It's a Bitcoin gold chart. And here's the thing. This chart is only a fiction. It's my idea where I think it's going. And remember that. It's not written in stone. It's just a fiction. Okay? It's just my idea, you know? And so don't take this as gospel truth or anything, that this chart's just a fiction. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I've made a lot of predictions. I put myself on the line sometimes, and sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong. You know? But this chart's going to be very interesting to you guys, what I think's going to happen. So let's get started right now. Let's open up the chart and take a look at what's going on here. Now, the first thing we see, this chart starts in the year 2019. It goes up to the year 2023. And so it starts where we are now with the orange line, which is Bitcoin, and it was down below $5,000. $5,000 is this bottom black line. It was below that. It was like 3,400 or something like that. And then it shot up all the way up to, you can see here around the orange line, shot all the way up to about 13,000. Now it's fell off and it's just below the $10,000 line. It's around 9,000 and something. I think it's going to stay here for a little while, and then I think it's going to start climbing. And, you know, just after the end of this year, which is the black line here that indicates the change of the year into the new year, I think it's going to shoot up in price like a rocket. Like a rocket to Mars into the new year, mostly in the first quarter of next year. And I think it's going to peak. I actually think it's going to break past the $100,000 mark, and I think it's going to be headed for $200,000. Unbelievable. Rocket shot in price. And you know what I'm basing this on is the Federal Reserve is stuck into a corner, and they're having to change direction into very dovish monetary policy. This is going to be rocket fuel for Bitcoin, you know? And when Bitcoin takes off like a rocket, you all know how it can go. If it gets a driver behind it. A driver, say, perhaps like the world's economy is a mess, and everybody's starting to panic because we get a hard Brexit. Italy goes back into a recession, a really severe recession. So does United Kingdom. So does Germany. So in the United States and China start to go into a recession, and the world is starting to panic for liquidity, and there's a lot of excess liquidity in the system that people don't know where to put it. All of a sudden, they're going to take a look later this year, and they're going to say, hey, you know what? Isn't Bitcoin the best performing asset class? They're all chasing yield. What'll happen is if they all start to pour in, they don't care what it is. They don't care if it is tulips. They'll buy in. If liquidity is looking for a home, if money's looking for a home, and there's no place else that's giving them yield, they'll all hop on board the bandwagon. And what they can do is they can drive it into a mega bubble. A bubble like you've never seen before. Bitcoin will absorb all the money. It'll suck it all up, and it could actually shoot past $100,000 and go all the way up, maybe 150, 175, might even make 200,000. But then she's going to fall. And you see on this indicator on this chart, I show it falling down to roughly under 100,000, probably around maybe 75,000, 80,000, and then it'll stop. And people will say, hey, you know what? It's the dead cat bounce. Markets always do that. When you get a bubble that creates, and it goes way up to the heavens, and then suddenly it falls and the price gets smashed, it always bounces. Because there's always investors that come in there and they say, hey, you know what? I'm going to catch that falling knife. I'm going to get a bargain on this. This is going to go back up. They always get that feeling it's going to go back up. And because they get that feeling it's going to go back up, and they all start to buy back in on the dip, what happens is it generally does. So I got that little bounce in there, a little dead cat bounce, and it going back up to nearly $100,000 again. You know? It's going to be awfully hard to hit that top or to sell on that dead cat bounce. But if you don't, then you might as well ride it all the way back down, because I show it coming all the way back down under 15,000, back down to almost what it is now. Maybe a little bit higher than what it is now. Maybe 14,000 or something, or 15,000. And it's going to go along that way for like a whole year, not gaining any traction. Meanwhile, look at gold. Gold's just going to be steadily climbing. Not fast like Bitcoin, but just a steady. The gold is a yellow line, and you see it just steadily climbing. Now, one of the things I want you to notice is, earlier this year, the gold price and the Bitcoin price were very close. Back when Bitcoin was like $3,400 and gold was like $1,280. It only took like, what, a couple ounces of gold to buy a Bitcoin. So gold was worth about a half a Bitcoin per ounce. Okay? But now they deviated. Now they've deviated a little bit. They've separated. Well, they're going to separate a lot more when Bitcoin goes way up to the heavens and gold is still down here around maybe 1,500 or something. You know? $1,500. And Bitcoin shoots up to like over $100,000. You'll be able to buy a lot of gold with a Bitcoin at that point. And when Bitcoin gets all the way up here massively high to like, I don't know, maybe 150,000 or something, and gold will still be way down here. Look on the chart. Way down here, it's only going to be like maybe 1,600 or something. You know? But then look what happens. After Bitcoin falls off again and falls way down low again, not much higher than it is now, and gold has come up from where it was, the price is going to come close again. Gold and Bitcoin are going to come close again. Right? So, what a person could do, a strategy in this, is when Bitcoin gets really high, they could buy gold with it. You know? And then hang on to the gold until Bitcoin price reduces back down to almost where it was. It comes way back down again. And then trade back off for Bitcoin again. Because ultimately Bitcoin's going to take off again after that. And it's going to reach new highs again. Right on past the 200,000, 300,000, 400,000. And you notice toward the end of this chart, when I'm getting up into the past the year 2022, you notice that it says here, 2023, the dollar dies. Past that point, you're not going to be able to price gold or Bitcoin in dollars anymore. There's no set value. $1 trillion for an ounce of gold. Well, when the dollar's dead, when the dollar goes to its net value of 0, you can't price it in gold or in Bitcoin anymore. Bitcoin and gold's value, they're going to suck up everything. They're going to suck up all the value of the world because and the reason why is because they have totally mismanaged the fiat monetary system. They've turned it into a farce. And this is the reason why Bitcoin is worth what it's worth right now. This is the reason why Bitcoins are not 25 cents a piece. Because of this mismanagement. So ultimately, in the end, I see it past the year 2023, the way I see it, the dollar will be gone. And what they'll have is they'll have a new dollar backed by gold. This is going to further accentuate gold's price because they're going to have to reprice gold to the new dollar. And you know they're going to have to create trillions of these new dollars. And you know what little bit of gold they have. In fact, there's the entire possibility that at a certain point, the people are going to want to know how much gold they really have. If they're going to say that they're going to back the currency with it. You know, here in Canada, they sold what little bit of gold they had left. You know the Canadian government doesn't have any gold? Can you imagine the stupidity in that? Because the Canadian dollar, and it's called dollar here too, by the way, you know, but they call it loonie. Because what they did was the dollar coin here in Canada, they put a picture of a loon on it. You know, the bird, the loon. And so they just called them loonies. So I guess our money is loony. And it's really loony for them to sell all of our gold. What are we going to have left to back our dollar with? You know? I mean, what are they thinking? I don't know. Maybe this Canadian government should buy a few bitcoins or something. Something to back the currency with. Otherwise, we're going to go down the toilet hole. Because all of the fiat currencies on Earth are going to go down to zero, and it's not going to work anymore. This whole trick about the king has the treasury. They've misused the treasury so much, misused that privilege so much in the world, that now it's become a joke. Now companies like Facebook are going to take the power of the treasury. Because they're saying, we can manage it better than you. You've mismanaged it for years. You've stole for yourself. You've made yourself rich. You've had your hand into the treasury for years. And now what? Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed looking at this fiction of a chart. It's only an idea. If you guys have ideas too, tell me in the comments section. I mean, you guys could even draw a chart like mine if you want to, and post it in the comments section. I'd love to see, you know, you can go into MS Paint and draw a little chart. I'd love to see it. That'd be so interesting for me. Listen, thank you guys for listening to the show. Give me a thumbs up, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Bye-bye, guys.